Hey guys, it's Justin. Welcome back to my YouTube channel, and today I'm going to be talking about what true bliss looks like. Good evening, everyone. At least it is evening for me. I decided to do this video today because of some things that have been happening recently within our world, and I've done videos like this in the past. You can go back and watch them. They are some of my favorite to make, but I will be talking about Jesus with you guys. So, this video, like I said, is titled What True Bliss Looks Like. I believe that in this year, 2025, we have seen a stirring in our world, in our nation, in our homes, in our life, and in our church like we have not seen in maybe ever, but especially in a very long time, if not just ever. A stirring that has caused people to listen closely and to pay attention to things a little bit more, that has stirred people to want to find something to put their sense of self in, their faith in. And I'm here to introduce you guys to a man named Jesus Christ. We are living in a world and a society that is growing more evil seemingly day by day, and they are so obsessed with themselves, they are so obsessed with living their version of a righteous life that they are missing the entire big picture, that you cannot live your life ignoring Jesus, because he is your life. He is what created you, and he set you here for a purpose, and everything else will fall short of giving you that actual godly bliss. I don't know what's going on in your life, what you're dealing with mentally, physically, and spiritually in your soul, what caused you to click on this video right now. But let me tell you from the get-go that Jesus heals all insecurities in your life. No matter what you're dealing with, he is there, and he is invited into every aspect of your life. My pastor said this a couple weeks back. He said the song doesn't say, I surrender 50%. I surrender all. It's that, not I surrender 50%. It's either you give all of your life to Jesus or he's not Lord of any of your life. He's here to save you from this world, from the issues of it, from all of these problems that are going on in our life that come with being a human on this earth. We are not called to live a fleshly life. That being said, I want to get to my first point, which is that non-believers think that by ignoring their true meaning in life, that they are blissfully living their life to the fullest. From what I've seen, for example, my generation has become hyperfixated, I guess is the word that I'm looking for, on their careers, on how they can live their life to the fullest, make the most of their time here, but it is all for the wrong reasons. They think that by continuing down their career paths and continuing down a road that ultimately does not lead to happiness, that leads them further away from God and further away from the truth, that will give them that ultimate sense of fulfillment, and that will give them that bliss that they're looking for, and it won't. So for example, like in my major, people are going down their career paths and waiting for that next gig to book. And then after they do that, trying to better themselves more for the next gig, and then better themselves more for the next gig, putting their sense of self in their career choices. These people are living their lives so fast because that's what the world tells them to do. That's what's been considered the norm now. A life with Jesus is the opposite. God tells us to slow down our routine, slow down our life, so that we can hone in and focus on him, the only actual thing that matters. Everything else is going to fade away. He is the only thing that actually matters. God calls us away from our fleshly desires and calls him towards him. Because if we're living for the flesh, then we're going to die for the flesh. And that gets us nowhere near him. That gets us nowhere in life. Or when we die, we're going to spend all of this time putting all of our time and effort into these things that ultimately don't matter. They don't matter because you cannot fulfill God's purposes for your life while focusing on your own plans. And that's a hard pill for some people to swallow, because we are so obsessed with what we want, with our dreams, and what other people have been telling us. You're so good at that. You should do that for a living. Or you're so great at this, yada, yada, yada. All these things that people have made it seem like we are destined to do this one thing. We are destined to live our lives based on our desires, based on what we've spent so much time perfecting. Like I have been in theater. I'm graduating this year. Well, spring, but this year. And ultimately, yes, that's great. And I will have a bachelor and everything, but that's not my reason for living. God is. The first verse I want to share with you guys tonight is John chapter 2, verse 15 through 17. This verse starts with, "Do not love the world or anything in the world. If anyone loves the world, love for the Father is not in them. For everything in the world, the lust of the flesh, the lust of the eyes, and the pride of life, comes not from the Father, but from the world. The world and its desires pass away, but whoever does the will of God lives forever." I've made a video about this before, talking about idols, but if there's anything in your life that steals your attention from God and puts that ahead of God, then it becomes an idol. It becomes your thing that you put ahead of Him, that you look to for guidance, that you want more than anything. He calls us to be bold believers and to lay our life at His feet so that we are seeking Him first and above all things. The main message of this point, and I wrote it down right here, is that as believers, we need to have a universal understanding that because Christ died for us, we need to be willing to give up ourselves for more of Him, because ultimately that is the reason for our whole existence. There's a song called "More Like Jesus" that I heard at my church a few weeks ago, and hadn't heard it before. I know it's pretty popular actually, so I'm shocked I hadn't heard it. But it says in the song, "Jesus, if more of you means less of me, take everything." That's sort of laying down your life and laying down, literally everything, knowing that as long as you have Jesus and you'll be getting more of Him, that He could take everything away from you and you will be satisfied with just Him. That sort of understanding is one that I hate to say, but my generation specifically really lacks that understanding of the fact that if we are without Jesus, then we have nothing. Like, He is our entire reason for existence. Take away all the things you love in your life, and as long as God remains, then you should be satisfied, and you have to be okay with that. The second point that I want to mention is that because we aren't living by the world's standards, we don't belong here. And we need to understand that because we go against the world's narrative, we are looked at as different, as we are looked at as the way that God sees them. People see Christians a lot of the time as lost, foolish people who are devoting all of their time into something that ultimately doesn't matter more than, living your life to the fullest and, trying to make the most of your time here. And yes, it is great to enjoy your life. I love my life. I love to spend time with family and friends. I love to go places, to see places in the world, go experience things I've never experienced before. But I know that at the root of it, none of that's going to matter if I don't have Jesus first. You know what I'm saying? And because we live by that, people see us differently. I want to share a very popular verse with you all. It's a pretty well-known one. It's John 15, verse 18, because recently I have, in my own life, experienced instances where people have, for lack of better terms, put their foot in their mouth, saying things that are offensive to me, and I don't know if they know that it is, but I just wanted to put this because we need to come to an understanding also that because we aren't living for the world and because we love God so much, that we will be mocked. Verse 18 says, "If the world hates you, keep in mind that it hated me first. If you belong to the world, it would love you as its own. As it is, you do not belong to the world, but I have chosen you out of the world. That is why the world hates you." This is hard for some people to wrap their heads around, the fact that when we become a Christian, we need to understand that because the world first hated Jesus, that we can expect similar or the same type of hatred or mockery. All of these things that Jesus experienced, we will experience because we have faith in Him. And I think it's interesting that it says, if you belonged to the world, it would love you as its own. This is here because if you agree with everything that people and the world tells you, then they would have no reason to dislike you and to disagree with you. But because Jesus goes against everything that the world believes, it's the opposite for us. So instead, it tells us that He has chosen us out of the world. That is how we are set apart as Christians. That is how we make a change, is by being obedient and being disciples of God and abiding in his love and understanding and making more people like that. We know that because of Jesus, we can expect to be mocked and we can often expect to feel out of place. I made a video last year, actually, think around this time, that was called Out of Place, where I talked about how I had felt sort of a disconnect from the people I was with. That was before I, knew some of the people that I know now. But I'm almost in the same boat, but it's for a different reason. Then it was because I'm thinking of this now, like as I'm talking. Then I think it was because I didn't have a close-knit group of friends, but I do now. But yet I still recently have just I have felt disconnected from certain people that I'm with. And I talked about in the beginning how there's a stirring going on in the world, and I think so much has happened. Even as this semester has started, I'm only in my 4th week. I just think so much has happened that is shaping my way of viewing my life and the people that I hang out with, that I have grown closer to God than I have before. And he's revealing areas of my life where maybe I wasn't living for him before fully. And because Jesus is working in my heart, it is giving me a sense where I want to belong to him more fully and only. Okay, my third and final point before I get to my main idea, I wanted to talk about, as we've seen, like I talked about, how the world's view of bliss shapes their thinking and how it views their image of us. I want to talk about what true bliss looks like, because Christians have a peace like no other. Even in the midst of the stirring and of all the things happening, even as our country is dividing and it seems like more and more each day evil is prevailing and coming out stronger and winning, and it seems like even the sole value of human life is diminishing. Even through all of that, God holds us in his arms. We understand that these things must happen, and that even as they're happening and people are frantically growing angrier, they're growing more depressed, they're growing more fearful. We should only fear the Lord, but they're growing more fearful. All of these things that are causing them to spiral out of control are happening to them. But we, as followers of Christ and believers of Jesus, we have a peace that is different from anything that they're dealing with, because we understand that even unto death, nothing can happen to us. Because I love the quote that you cannot kill a Christian, you can only change their address, because it is so true. We have no reason to fear tomorrow, because tomorrow has troubles of its own. So we can have a peace like no other, knowing that because we have God, and that because he holds us so firmly and holds our life together so strongly in his righteous hands, that we can trust him and that we can live our days praying for these events and praying for these people, whatever may it be. We can still abide in him and live according to how he wants us to live, which is not frightened and not afraid of anything that the world can throw at us. The last bit of reading that I want to share with you guys tonight is not from the Bible, but it is from, I have it bookmarked, a book by C.S. Lewis called The Screwtape Letters. If you don't know who C.S. Lewis is, I promise you probably do. He is a Christian writer, but he also, which is actually a Christian book, the things in it are like metaphors for, events in the Bible. He is the writer of Narnia, the book series, and, the movie series. Those are the same thing. But he is the writer of that, and he's written a lot of things. This one, my friend recommended to me last semester, but I want to read real quick. It's a 1-sentence summary of the book. It says, it is a satirical Christian novel in which a senior demon, Screwtape, advises his nephew Wormwood on how to tempt and corrupt a human soul, revealing insights into human weakness, spiritual warfare, and the nature of faith. So it is written by the perspective of a demon, and it shows how you can get someone to stray further and further away from God, or how they use what techniques that they may be using, and all of these things in our life that we don't normally see as distractions or ways to pull us away from God, but they actually are. So the part I want to share with you, I do want to preface by saying also that when it says the enemy in this book, since it's from the demon's perspective, they're talking about God, But you know how we call the devil the enemy, they're calling God the enemy. So this bit that I want to read is in letter number 8, I do believe. Yep, letter number 8. It's towards the end. Probably my favorite from like the whole book. This is Screwtape writing to his nephew, advising him how to, tempt his patient, which is a young man on earth. So here's what it says. Our cause is never more in danger than when a human, no longer desiring, but still intending to do our enemy's will, looks around upon the universe from which every trace of him seems to have vanished, and asks, why have I been forsaken? And yet he still obeys. What that is saying is, though the devil tries to use these events in our world to shake our faith and make us more worried for our well-being, it is dangerous. Their cause is never more in danger than when a human looks around at all the things happening in the world and sees how awful it is and still says, I don't know how I'm supposed to do the Father's will, I'm supposed to trust in him and all these things, and says, Lord, I don't know what's going on, why have you forsaken me? But yet still obeys God. That is what it means to have a peace like no other. Knowing that even after everything that's going on and looking around the world and seeing as if there is no trace of God, that he is still reviving people. He is still stirring our nation and causing a revival for young people, for middle-aged adults, to elderly people, whatever. He is causing a revival and a stirring in our lives and our hearts that is calling us away from this worldly view of bliss. He is calling us home. In the time when Satan's at his most vulnerable position is when, even after he throws all these things at us, we still are steadfast in Jesus. We still pray. We still pray for people by name. We still are getting on our knees and opening up our hands and saying, God, I don't understand what's going on, but I trust that you have dominion over life and death, and over my life and everything going on in everybody else's life. The main idea that I want to share with you guys is, you can ignore your life thinking you are living in your own perfect world, but it will always progress to something less. I've said this countless times, the fact that we all have a Jesus-shaped hole in our souls and nothing will fill it but him. We can flail around looking for all of these answers, looking for it in relationships, looking for it in career choices, all of these things, but until we surrender our lives and understand that he's the only thing that can actually make us live our lives blissfully and live our lives meaningfully, then we won't get the whole point at all. Jesus is that living water that quenches that thirst that always returns to ourself without him. With God, he keeps us level-headed in all of these times that we're living in. He keeps us obedient in front of people and behind closed doors. And he keeps us truly joyful in the life we're living and in his presence. Tonight, even through the screen that you're watching right now, he is offering that invitation for you to come forward and say, Lord, I surrender. All of the things that I've done in my life, all the sins, I repent of them. I want to go the opposite direction of it. And if you say that to him, he won't even remember all the things that you've done. He throws them so far out of his mind that he forgets. The Bible tells us this, that he forgets what we've done, because we are now living for him, and all of the old is washed away because Jesus paid that price for us on the cross. So, what is your version of bliss? That is the question that I leave with you tonight. Thank you all so much for watching this video. I really love making these types of videos, and every semester I tend to get an itch to make like 1 or 2 around a certain time. I don't know why, but especially after everything that's been going on, I just feel convicted to come on here and tell you guys how God shapes our life and our sense of self. And we are not to look to the world for all of these things. We are to look to him only. If you guys did enjoy this video, please leave a like and comment down below what you guys want to see next. I have 2 trips I'm going on next month. It's kind of in the middle of the month. That'll probably be the next video that comes out. Not 2 trips, it's in the same trip, but 2 different places, things I've never done before. I'm going to be going to Epic Universe in Orlando. Never been there. It opened literally in May, so I'm so excited for that. And then for my sister's birthday, we're going to be going to Halloween Horror Nights. Never done that either, so I don't know how I do in haunted houses. I don't know, so we'll see. But yeah, I'll be vlogging both of those experiences, so If you are an avid watcher of me and you did sit down and watch this video, I really thank you so much. I love making these types of videos. Let me know what you're thinking on it, or what you thought about it. Sorry. Yeah, please subscribe if you already have not. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you guys in the next one. Bye, everybody.